Mr. Mayor, it is 9 a.m. and the live stream has commenced. You may begin your meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, Council. Good morning, members of SLT, our visitors, residents, and those joining us online. I see that we have quorum this morning, so I call this meeting into session for this regular council meeting on Wednesday, October the 16th. And as always, we will ask all those that can to please rise for the national anthem. Okay, thank you. And next we have the land recognition statement. And Councilor Hildebrand will read that for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The town of Pelham is situated on treaty land, steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hadiwanduruk, Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of Credit First Nation. This is territory covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island live and work in Niagara. The town of Pelham stands in solidarity with all Indigenous people, past and present, acknowledging that our high standard of living is the result of the resources and lasting friendship of Indigenous peoples. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Next is the approval of the agenda. I turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a motion moved by Councillor Hildebrand, seconded by Councillor Niznik. Be it resolved that the agenda for the October 15th, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted as circulated. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. After viewing the agenda, does any councillor have any questions or comments on this agenda? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to item 5, disclosure of pecuniary interests.
Thank you. And after viewing the agenda, does any council member have a pecuniary interest or general nature thereof to declare? Not seeing any. I ask the clerk to please note that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to item 6.1, and we are joined by Councillor Niznik and Karen Blake, Culture and Community Enhancement Programmer, to present the Pelham Historical Society and E.L. Crosley Secondary School Art Program for Utility Box Project.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Blake.
Thank you. If you could just turn on the microphone.
There we go, the red light's on. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. We do have a little presentation. Perfect. Thanks, Jody. As the Culture and Community Enhancement Programmer at the town, it was my pleasure to be a part of the unique public art project that has resulted in Pelham's first art-wrapped utility boxes. This project began initially with the town's strategic plan focused on community beautification and involved with the input and talents of many Pelham's volunteers, and it was truly a community effort. In the fall of 2024, the Pelham Cultural Advisory Committee began the initial planning for town-owned utility boxes to be wrapped with art. With this in mind, the town staff collaborated with the Pelham Historical Society to gather information and photographs that could be featured on the design. The project was then at the stage where artists would be needed to bring the historical content to life. Behind me are 5 of the students representing the art classes from E.L. Crosley Secondary School that in the spring of this year enthusiastically took on the project. The students used the reference materials from the Pelham Historical Society to design vibrant images that were combined into collages depicting some of Fenwick's heritage. The teacher, Bronwyn White, then worked with the students' images to format the art into final wrapped layouts, which we will share momentarily. The project was further supported by a donation from the Pelham Art Festival, and just under 2 weeks ago, the 3 completed art wraps, which showcase landmarks and streetscapes, were installed in downtown Fenwick. Next slide. So depicted here is a collage of the 3 wrapped utility boxes, but to truly appreciate their art, they are best viewed from all sides and in person. So these are direct sides, but if you look at it from the corner, you can see kind of all the overall design. I lost my spot, sorry. Since we aren't taking a field trip to Fenwick today, the next slide will detail the names of the talented students that were involved in each of the 3 designs, as well as an overall image of the art that was applied to the boxes. So first is the Fenwick flagpole that is located at the intersection of Canberra Road and Maple Street. The compilation of images show the iconic flagpole, as well as the portrayal of the horse racing and equestrian activities that were historically part of the Fenwick Fair. And these are the students involved in the project. Next slide. And that was the overall wrap that went around all 4 sides. Next slide. Next is the Fenwick streetscape design, which was on the utility box located at Maple Street at the municipal lot. The streetscape depicts the buildings along with the downtown area of Fenwick, and many are still recognizable today. And those are the students involved in that project. And that's the overall design. And then the last, finally, is Ebert's Garage, a local landmark that operated from 1923 to 1993. This utility box is located on Canberra Road at Welland Road and pays a tribute to the iconic building and business that was a mainstay in Fenwick for so long. And so those were the artists involved. And then that was the overall,
Awesome.
the overall image. These completed utility box add a touch of local history and creativity to the Fenwick community. And for more information about the art or the history of the images, there is now a dedicated section on the town's website for this and other public art projects, which can be viewed at pelham.ca/publicart. Projects like this bring together the community and would not have happened without the support and enthusiasm for all involved. A special thank you to the Pelham Cultural Advisory Committee, the Pelham Historical Society, and the Pelham Art Festival, and to the talented students and teacher whose art may now become a landmark itself. Over to you.
Yeah, if I may first, shall I?
Certainly, go
Okay,
ahead.
if I may first. So awesome project, obviously. Taking Pelham Historical Society, bringing forth the history, and then having local youth put it on these boxes. Just before we turn it over to Shelley, just wanted to say that absolutely awesome. And that Ebert's Garage, wow, talk about the spirit and history of Fenwick. That is, I just wanted to say that. And now to Councillor Nesnick.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So yes, I would just, I'm on the Culture Advisory Committee, so it's a wonderful group. We have 2 of our members here today, Ms. Van Langfeld and Tammy. So thank you for being here as well. And as I said, it's just proof that when many good working groups come together, what a wonderful achievement we can make in the town. So it was a little bit of help from the Arts Council, from the committee, from staff had a huge role in it, and then we reached out to our artists at E.L. Crosley. And we did this in a very cost-effective manner. So our budget was, we tried to keep it under $5,000, and we were well under $5,000 to get the entire project completed. And that's including a special gift that have we given that gift yet? So we gave an honorarium to the E.L. Crosley Art Department in thanks for all their work and efforts. Students themselves didn't get anything individually, but they get recognition on the wraps. So just wonderful, super thankful. And as the Pelham Cultural Advisory Committee, it was our mandate. This was one of our goals set when we first created the committee, was to increase the public art. And so we're proud to say that we've had a small hand in 3 of these projects this term. So in 4 years, we've actually put up, there's been 3 public art projects completed and achieved. So thank you to everybody. And on behalf of the town of Pelham, I'm just going to call up our students. We have a little certificate for them, and I'm happy to give those out. Stay up here for a photo. So if we could have Madeline Redner, come on up. Madeline. Here's the Everts Garage, right? Yes, I saw your name on that one. That's great. You stay up here for a picture. Summer Doctoral. Thank you. What project was yours on? The townscape, streetscapes. Beautiful. I love the vibrant colors that are out there. Yes. Vanessa Lehman. Lehman, yeah, whatever. Honestly, it's just. I might have taught your father or something. I'd be surprised. And Olivia McCullough. Great. Thank you for participating. Priscilla Crosby. Wow. Charlie Metzala. Your project, Charlie. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And then our teacher, Ms. White. So I believe you just took over the art department, not to me. So a rookie, and we got her right to work. So looking forward to many more future projects. FYI. So let's gather in for a nice photo. Do you want to come up here by the town? Sure, let's do that. Maybe Mayor wants to come down, do you?
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
The rest of council, if you'd like to stand and just.
Come on right over.
And students, if you wouldn't mind opening your folios, and you're gonna fold back the cover. And then fold your sheet.
Go ahead.
Charlie, are you related to Danny
And if I can
or
get
Pat
everybody to just take
Metzella?
one step closer to
Grandparents?
the side.
So are you named after your great-grandfather, Charlie Merrill? Tell him Brian Eckert said him.
Counselor
I know, well,
No, Danny and Pat.
And then I have Mayor come in just slightly. We're gonna look here.
So say hello to Danny. Danny is your grandfather, Pat's your grandmother, and Pat's dad was Charlie Merrill. And yes, okay, yeah. So I knew them quite well, but Danny and Pat, tell them Brian Eckhart.
So again, a great project. It's going to be, I haven't seen the artwork myself yet. I can't, as soon as this meeting's over, I'm going to take a drive down. Obviously, adding to the landscape of Fenwick. And we thank the donations from the Pelham, we thank the work of the Pelham Historical and the contributions of the Pelham Art Association, and of course for staff for tying everything together. So a great community project, and there's a lot more of those boxes around, and I'm sure we will get to them. So again, thanks to everyone on completing a great project. And perhaps I should open it to council. Councilor Kerr?
Yeah, it's interesting to see the flagpole in Fenwick, unbeknownst maybe to the students, the 6 individuals standing by the flagpole. The second from the left is actually Dr. Crosley, wearing the wedge cap. And the first individual and the last individual were my father and grandfather. So it's kind of neat to know that. Yeah, it was a buy-in for something, but it's kind of interesting to see the connection. And as you're right, Ebert's Garage,
There you go.
it was so well known across the peninsula.
Across North America, really? Wow.
If you needed old car auto parts, Floyd had them.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Any other member of council, any comments? Not seeing any. Again, a great project, great results, and we look forward to many more in the future. Thank you again to everyone. And now we have to go back to school, kids. Sorry. Thank you. And I turn to the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are now joined by Regional Councilor Olson for an update on regional initiatives.
Councilor Olson, I want to see you beat this one. And welcome back to council, Councilor Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How much time do we have?
30 seconds.
All right, I'll get to 30.
If it's good news, sir, you take as long as you want.
So maybe Sarah could tell me when I have 10 seconds to wrap up. So,
Go ahead,
Good morning, Mayor and Council. I'm pleased to be back. I think this is the third or fourth time I've been here to present on the state of Niagara Transit. And today I have a much more substantial report to make about the state of transit in Niagara. And it continues on with this useful theme that you had before with the students here, have me here now. So anyway, the Niagara Transit at a glance. To start off with, I'd like to say that we have 400 plus employees, 451 employees on our full-time staff. We have over 185 buses that are running on the roads now. And that's going to pretty well double in the next few years. We're in the state of liftoff, in our user ridership right now. We came out of COVID with 5.5 million riders a year, and this year we'll show something between 11 million and 12 million. So the growth has been there and the need has been there, and we've met the need. We have some strategic challenges that we have to deal with. We have a capital budget that over the next 10 years is going to amount to $900 million. We have to, that's for replacement of assets, fleet growth, new garages, and other transit infrastructure. And it's going to come to quite a bit of money over the next 10 years, but we've got a funding plan, an incremental funding plan that, like everybody else, we're afflicted by high costs and supply chain issues, and we have a plan to meet all those. Who rides transit? Right now, it suggests that there's an opening for seniors not using our transit system. And that implies a different type of transit, that our off hours are typically from 10 to 2. So we're going to probably be considering something in the nature of some kind of a transit pass for those hours to better use our buses. But we're getting good utilization, and you still see the buses going around in our off hours that might not look to be full, but our transit usage is right up there. The next slide, please. So thanks to our NTC employees and staff, and we have a very good record of on-time performance. The industry is about 79%, and we're sitting at 84% right now in 2025. And 93% of our riders say that the driver is good at their job, and 92% of them felt like they were safe in riding on the transit system. We presented our business plan and our strategic plan to the various levels of government, and we received a grant of $36 million from the federal government and the provincial government over the next 10 years for capital replacement. And that will go against our $890 million.
Wayne,
Says- yes.
Wayne, is that 36 or 136?
The bottom one is 136.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, there is two grants. There was a September grant, which was 136 million to contribute toward replacement of our 124 buses. So this is what we've achieved, and the governments have been very open about giving us these grants to expand our services and expand our buildings. And when you see our plans, you'll see why this is important. Next slide, please. So this is what we're attempting to do. This is our goals from our strategic plan: more one-seat journeys, meaning less transfers, faster trips, and greater than a 50% reduction in the specialty trip denials. This is one of our problems right now. We don't have the access to the fixed assets or the vehicles that will give us a better acceptance of rides on specialty trips, and that's what affects Pelham, and I'll show you what the plan is for that. So we want to improve our service efficiency finally. The next slide, please. If you can see this, the vision for the connected future, it's called. This includes the connection to the GO services at the new Grimsby station and the new St. Catharines station, and the potential Beamsville station is on the horizon. The real strategic thing here will be the connection to the Hamilton Railroad transit system, and that takes place at Winona Crossing. There's going to be a route down to Niagara-on-the-Lake, and the big addition is going to be this year will be the addition to a route, fixed route to Fort Erie. Fort Erie takes up 40% of our specialized transit, and this is going to free up a large part of our fleet to serve the specialized service. What you see on there is also a micro hubs. One will be in Pelham, one will be in Bismarck, Smithville, and they'll all connect down to the GO services in St. Catharines and along the QEW. So that's what the plan for the future is. This chart here is this chart shows you where we're going to be focusing on our level of service. The third column is the important one. Well, the second and third column, the fixed route service right now, and I hope you can read that better than I can, but it's 450,000 hours. Present time, we do 155,000 hours on the specialized service. That's going to be increased in the next couple of years to 195,000, and the special or fixed service is going to go to 48,000 hours. So the focus is going to be on the specialized service, which serves the town of Pelham and the people who have need disabled transport. And there is the what the map looks like and what it's going to look like in 2035. And that's an ambitious plan, and I said it's going to cost us to keep it going and to expand into this. It's going to be almost $1 billion. This is the growth in expenditures and ridership. The top line is the growth in ridership. This is percentage change. You can see that when we get past a certain point here, the top line lifts off, and that's basically that the cost per ride is going to go down as the top line changes. The bottom line stays pretty much the same, and the cost per ride will go down. The benefits of our business plan, if you look at this chart, it says, there's an error and it says manned. That was meant to be mandate. We're mandated by the Niagara Service Standards Strategy. And this said up until this year, what we could do with routes. We weren't allowed to change routes beyond the routes that we inherited when it was formed. We weren't allowed to add new vehicles. We weren't allowed to do certain things. Now we've escaped all the clutches of the service standard. Now it says we can make the expansions that we need to do, because when you look at subdivisions, there's so many subdivisions in Niagara that aren't served at all, and that was because of the Niagara Service Standard Strategy. But this has given us a chance to consolidate our operation. It's given us a chance to make every individual decision based on a baseline, and everything has become incremental now. So we need a business case for everything, and every road has a business case now. Next slide, please. The Transit Benefit Pass was something that we did to help people with low incomes. It was a fair decrease of $50,000, or 50%. The $50,000 comes in a Transit Benefit Pass, and I said it's not used by, it has the potential to be used by, what it meant to say. Right now, I think it's about 1,700 people use it, but it's administered under a shared service agreement with Niagara Region Social Services. So anybody on OW or ODSP has the opportunity to apply for the pass and get a benefit of some $55 a month, because a lot of our ridership still pays one ride at a time, and they cannot get the money together to buy a full-scale pass. So this is what we've done. Next slide, please. Previously, the fare was $3 for local and $6 for regional trips. We brought that down to $3.50 throughout the region, and we're aiming to integrate that with our Ontario One Pass program. Post-fare harmonization ridership grew by 13% when we did this. And this is the growth of our fleet. We're going to be going from 187 vehicles to 345 vehicles, and our current facilities are at 85% of their capacity. And the most cost-effective thing we can do right now is to expand our Niagara Falls garage, and that'll give us another 73 buses, and redevelop and expand the Welland facility, which is another 72 vehicles. And the expansion of the Niagara Falls garage will take place not this year, but next year, and we're saving the money for it. The impact on Pelham, on the master plan, is much greater use of microtransit in all areas, and more focused scheduling. There's still work to be done in our scheduling system. It's a system that's ripe for artificial intelligence to make improvements. So that's what we'll be working toward. Specialized transit, I'll focus on, first of all, the improvements needed to meet the Ontario disability compliance. We don't meet that because we can't be on time, and you can't pick up the phone and get a vehicle as fast as you can get a vehicle for your microtransit. And we're trying to get that done, trying to fix that. So the vehicles we get are going to be more capable. They're going to be larger probably, because wheelchairs are getting bigger. And the focused scheduling practices for service efficiency will be the big target. Our capital costs are escalating. As I said, we're afflicted by the same thing everybody else is. It's 2 years for a bus now. We order a bus this year and we get it 2 years down the road. Our paratransit and microtransit buses are probably a year. but we're delayed in everything we do. We buy these buses and everything through the Metrolinx Transit Partnership. And there are only two Canadian suppliers now of this equipment, and that's all we have, and that's what we must rely on. But a bus costs, well, 2 years ago, I remember we were buying buses at $800,000, and now they're $1.1 million, and they'll probably be, by the time they get here, they'll probably be $1.3 million. So those are the challenges we have to face. Our plan right now does not include anything like zero-emission vehicles. It's not contemplated in the plans. There's difficulties in the charging times. There's power capacity from our utility providers. We need an in-garage charging infrastructure, and we need en-route charging stations, because these vehicles are on the road for 12 or 14 hours a day. So our working budget right now was is going to be an increase of $3.6 million, and included in that is cost pressures of 1.8. The base budget is going to increase by 4.3% or 0.43%, and we're going to, and that includes adding next September. That includes Saturday and holiday services, which will add another 2.87 to the budget. Capital expenditure budget and reserves, we're going to be 3.46. But that's the total from gas taxes and other things. This is an interesting chart for me, because the willingness to invest per month in transit. The first study was done in quarter 2, 2024, 739 respondents. First quarter this year, 919 respondents, and there are basically, now there's 80% of the people are willing to invest more than $1 a month in a proper transit system, in our transit system. Our budget this year comes in at $1.51, it looks like, for preliminary numbers. So we'll be well within the $1 to $2, and it'll have very wide approval, I think, in the community. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's everything I had.
Great, Councilor. Great presentation. 2 comments before I take it over to Council. Number 1, the Niagara Transit obviously was the way to go. You're planning now on a regional basis. And yeah, I know when that came to regional council, I believe it was pretty well unanimous to go ahead with Niagara Transit, what, 3 or 4 years ago now? How long is the existence? You remember?
I think it must be 3 or 4 years ago, yeah.
As an elected official, the 900 million is scary.
Yeah.
And I guess we can only hope that the senior levels of government, plus your good management on the commission, make that as palatable as possible going forward. But to see the increase in your ridership from, I think it was 500 to, and you've doubled that basically since COVID. So that's pretty amazing. One last comment, if I could. Do you see, because I know in Pelham, I guess you call them the microbuses or whatever, they seem to be, that seemed to be such a great thing in Pelham. Do you see that service expanding faster than the intermunicipal routes, or how is the commission handling that?
Well, I think you're going to see microtransit expanded roughly twice the rate that the other services are going to, the fixed routes are going to expand.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
And I think you'll also see that there's, you'll also see that that we're, you know, if you look at our budget, you know, it's incremental. The big increments are when we build a garage in St. Catharines St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, and Welland. That's going to be where the big increases are. because they are like a couple $100,000 or a couple $100 million each, so.
Yeah, wow, wow. And
They basically have about a budget of replacement and new buses is about 90 million a year, something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And it goes up and down, and it's all, every item has to be justified individually now, so that we can keep control of the cost, and they have to be justified.
Excellent. I know when your general manager made her presentation to regional council, many of the councils were I think all the councilors were very impressed with the details that the Transit Commission brought forward, and your increase was very acceptable, I believe, to the council at Niagara Region. So thank you for that. Open up to questions from any councilors. Questions? No? Councilor Nesnick.
Yes. Thank you for your presentation. It's really is wonderful to see it growing and expanding in a really well-planned and thought-out program. Just a question with regards to the replacement of buses. So we do often see that the large buses are not filled to capacity. So is the commission moving towards smaller buses, which may affect the bottom line in terms of cost?
Well, we have through you, Mr. Mayor, we have, I think it's 15 of the 60-foot buses, and you see them on the busiest roads, and they're typically running between in St. Catharines or Welland or Niagara Falls. I suspect there's going to be one of those will be running between Fort Erie and Niagara Falls Terminal. I think that's what's going to happen, but our buses the other ones are 40-foot buses, and we buy all of them through Metrolinx. There's probably another level of bus that might be coming to the specialized service. That's being considered for sure, because we just simply can't get the new buses when we have them. We retired a bus the other day that was the first accessible bus, and it was on the roads from 2004. And it was the oldest accessible bus in Ontario, and we got on, went for a ride on it, and the thing was like brand new. It was like brand new. The care that they give, that the staff gives to our equipment is really amazing when you see the usage and the vandalism we have sometimes. It's really quite inspiring to see that.
Good, thank you. So, yeah, I do think that is something that could be considered, is to go to like the smaller side, the 20-foot buses. But, and then, and just in final thought, I would like to, the microtransit does work very well here in Pelham. So we've used it a few times this year, and it's really slick. You can't hardly, where I was traveling to, you couldn't get there for $3.50 in your vehicle. So it was a great deal. Thank you.
Thank you. I think people are finding the rate to be very attractive. And you can see that the direction of the senior governments is to make this accessible to everybody at that price. And if we could get into the one fare system with the province, it would lead to a savings of probably about $1,700 per rider a year. If somebody was going to say Mac in Hamilton, I mean, you could now become accessible to that. The same to the airport. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other questions, comments? Not seeing any. Again, Councillor, and I say Councillor from your regional aspects. Thank you for the presentation, and pass our thanks to the Commission on for continuing to do a good work.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Eckert, seconded by Councillor Kerr, that Council receive the presentation of Regional Councillor Wayne Olson for information.
Okay, thank you. One last time, any comments or questions? Not seeing any, call the vote. All those in favor? Seen and opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to the adoption of council minutes. And I have a motion put forth by Councillor Bernarski, seconded by Councillor Wink. Be it resolved that the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. C16, 2025, regular meeting of council from October 1st, 2025. And to you, Mr. Mayor, for any errors or omissions.
Okay, thank you. After viewing the minutes, any councillors have any error or any omissions or additions to report? Not seeing any, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to item 8 on the agenda. If there are any items that council would like to lift from the consent agenda, now would be the time.
Okay, thank you. After viewing the consent agenda list, is there any item that a councillor would like to discuss further? And I see Councillor Hildebrand.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, item 9.3.1.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I have noted and we will discuss following the consent agenda.
Councillor Nesnick?
Yes, I just was wondering if we could lift to further discuss 9.2.4 and 9.2.7.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other items? Not seeing any. To the clerk.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So moving on, we will go to the consent agenda, save and accept those 3 items that were pulled. So if any member would like to speak on a topic, now would be the time. We do have quite a lengthy consent agenda. We can begin, Mr. Mayor, with staff reports if you'd like.
Okay, thank you. Let's do that. So staff reports, other than the one pulled by Councilor Nesnick, obviously. Any other questions or comments on them? Councilor Kerr.
Yeah, 9.2.9.
Okay.
Just a comment about the Veterans Banner. It's incredibly well received. The reception of the banners in Fenwick has gone over extremely well. In fact, I've received 6 individuals that attended for the following year to have banners put up in Fenwick, and also received a request from someone who was wondering whether a banner could be put up in Ridgeville.
No.
So it's amazing how people were quite happy with the crosswalks that went into place. But the banners, there were 2 new ones this year put into place. We wound up duplicating 4 banners, or 4 people were duplicated. So they're in Fawn Hill as well as now is in Fenwick to begin with. But it was one of those, once it's visible, it starts to generate people's interest, and they were thinking it was a good idea. So I want to applaud region for its initiative with this, as well as the town for its support, as well as the town for its support for putting these banners up, and also being very, very receptive to future banner placement. So thank you.
Excellent. And as you have alluded to, it's a great program, and this council and previous councils have been very supportive of the Legion in this program going forward. And it's great to see it expanded into the village of Fenwick. And if I may, to the Mr. Cook, is there a shortage of because I know they have to be a certain pole that they hang on. Do we have, are those equally distributed amongst the town that we can continue having these banners put where they're requested? Is that going to be any kind of a drawback at all?
Yeah, through the mayor, we do have to be selective on what poles they are hung on. Typically, they would be a municipally owned light fixture. So some of those decorative poles where we have enough height that we can safely put them up so people aren't bonking their heads on them or driving cars into them, and they also have to not block the illumination of the light itself. So the majority of these are all found in the downtown business areas. So Ridgeville would be a place that we could look into doing that, as well as expanding it in Fenwick.
Excellent. So we do. So that's not going to be a holdback to this program then, on usually anyway.
I think there is some room to expand for sure. We will at some point run out of those decorative poles, but right now I think there is a number of them that we could utilize for sure.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Any other comments? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, on the staff reports. Any other comments, questions? Councilor Nesnick?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question to the fire chief with regards to 9.2.5 and the bylaw services report. So just looking at the cannabis odor complaints received and then the follow-ups from those, can you just kind of highlight the no site visit line there. So for instance, September, there were 10 complaints from Pelham and then 10 no site visits. So 3 of them were found to be unsubstantiated, which is understood, but then just wondering why there's been no site visits on those complaints.
To the chief, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so the procedure is to follow up on a complaint is the person files it. We go to their residence or location, and if we acknowledge that there is an odorous issue, then we go to the property, the manufacturer's property, and if the 2 of them coincide, then we'll proceed with either notification or citation or whatever. But in some cases, in those 10 cases, is that they'll call, say there's an odor, and when we show up, there's no odor. And so it was only periodic, or it came from somewhere else, but it wasn't long enough for us to substantiate it, so.
If I could just follow up on that thought, Chief, what would be, and maybe that's not in the data, what would be the average length of time that a complaint is registered until we could get a bylaw officer out there? Do we track that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, we do track that. It depends on when it comes in, what time, and what's on their agenda at the time. Sometimes
Okay.
we can respond immediately, and other times we won't get out there for a couple hours.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Eckert.
Yes, while we're on this topic, I just have a quick question, and I know some of the, by the time, however quickly they respond, the order might be gone. But I had a resident contact me that he and his wife are avid cyclists, and they're out on a cycling adventure through Pelham, through our many wonderful trails that we have, and they detect a very strong odor. They use their cell phone and they call, but because they're not home, they're told that no one will respond. Is that accurate, or is that something that we need to be looking at?
To the chief.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yeah, it depends on the situation. For them to call in and us to jump in vehicle and run down there, I mean, if we had somebody available right away, but most cases, it's something that we can't do immediately. And I question where they are on their bike and where the odor is coming from, because there's more than the 3 facilities that are licensed to produce cannabis. There's a number of other ways that people grow. We just recently had an illegal grow up on Center Street, over 5,000 plants. So that greenhouse that's not vented or doesn't have proper ventilation, that stunk up that whole area for a period of time until the police intervened and busted it. So the places like that, or we get complaints, people like neighbors are smoking, they're sitting out on their porch and they're smoking a joint, well, that stinks the whole street up. And, so we'll get a complaint about that, and we'll get there, and they'll go, oh, what's gone? Well, usually when the manufacturers stink up the place, it's for like the whole day. It's not like for 15 minutes. So we get complaints many different ways, and it's hard to like nail it right down, so.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor Eckert. Any other questions? Not pertaining to this, but on the staff reports. Councilor Hildebrand.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager of Public Works. The Quaker Road reconstruction. The report says that these works require the intersection to be closed for approximately 3 weeks. Is that 3 more weeks?
To the
Have we passed the first 3 weeks?
to Mr. Cook.
Through the mayor, I'm not entirely familiar with what the project schedule is on Quaker. I do know that their curb and gutter are going in relatively soon. and then paving after that. So they might require closure during some of those operations, but it wouldn't be fully closed. So I believe what was in the Cow report might have been past closure for the intersection work.
That would be good news. The other day I went to the intersection, there was a truck that fell in. I guess the road must have caved, and the truck actually got himself down in the mire right at the intersection. So I presume work wasn't fully completed when that happened.
Obviously, still having issues with the quicksand down there, I would think. Whatever. And that's the unofficial version. Any other questions, comments to the clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next category would be information correspondence.
Any on, so that's, what would the numbers be on that, please? So, yeah, 9.5?
Yeah.
Okay, approximately. Any questions or comments on those? Not seeing any, Madam Clerk?
Okay, and then the final category is advisory committee minutes.
Okay, advisory committee minutes is 9.6. Any comments on those? Not seeing any. To the clerk.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. If there's no further discussion on the consent agenda, I have a motion moved by Councillor Niznik, seconded by Deputy Mayor Eckert. Be resolved that the consent agenda items as listed on the October 15th, 2025 council agenda be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved, save and accept items 9.2.4, 9.2.7, and 9.3.1. To Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on the above consent items? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. To the clerk.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to item 10, items for separate consideration. Just moving forward in numerical order, we will begin with item 9.2.4, which is the Q3 2025 RCW report. And the associated recommendation reads that council receive report, the quarterly report for information. To Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And that was the councillor, you pulled that? Okay, Councillor Nesnick?
Yes, thank you. So just a comment that it was a very busy quarter and lots happening in the town. So thank you for all your efforts and your creative events that went down. Everything was very successful. So just a quick question with regards to the arena expenses, the chart that you provided. So you outlined in the revenues that we received. I'm just wondering, you didn't include any expenses that go along with that. So maybe that's not part of the Q report, but since you put in the revenues, I just wondered did the expenses also increase along with the revenue increase?
To Vicky Van Rey, Ms. Van Rey, wait, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. We haven't included the expenses in this, and I've often thought about that we're including all the revenues. It gives you an idea of the how busy it is and the actual comparison to 2024. I know that the corporate services, they do have their reports that include both. So, yeah, that's a discussion that perhaps we should be adding that along with this. The difference is difficult to itemize. The expenses as it's laid out per user group. So what are the expenses that relate to lacrosse? Or, we don't have it broke down individually like that's easy to pull from. So I understand exactly what you're asking, and we can discuss whether we should be changing the way that looks.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just if you're going to include revenues, maybe you should include expenses or leave them both out, one or the other. I know some of the other reports don't have any financials in it, which is fine, other than the corporate services, but thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Nesnick. Oh,
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I just want to add to that. Also, when this report is done, all the expenses are on the GL. It takes at least a month for the expenses to get in there. So the revenue is in there first. We always know what the revenue is, but the expenses take a while. So there's a timing issue here. The Q3 report, which will be up to the end of September, will be coming to council I think on the first meeting in December, so you will see all the numbers then.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. I knew someone would have a wonderful answer for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Nesnick. Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, any other questions on 9.24? Not seen any. To the clerk.
Okay, thank you. I will just require a mover, a seconder, and a vote, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Councilor Nesnick is moving. Councilor Wink will second. And call the vote. All those in favor? See none opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on, our next item is 9.2.7, which is the repeal of bylaw for the use of the fire station. And the associated recommendation reads that council received memo 2025-0225 for information and that council approve in principle bylaw 51, 2025, which is on today's agenda. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Which councilor? Hold on, you were done. Councilor Nesnick, please.
Yes, thank you. Through you, just maybe to Ms. Sturton or the chief, just if you can expand a little bit about the Volunteer Fire Association, what they still will be allowed to do in the new build in terms of use of the building.
To the chief, please.
Through Mr. Mayor, so they will be, it'll be the same as Station 2 and 3, so all three stations will be the same, so the members are able to use the hall for their own personal use or family use, but no stag and does, no alcohol, shouldn't say no alcohol because they do have wedding receptions, stuff like that there, but and for a minimal cost, I think it's $25, and that's just for cleaning and so forth, but that's really the use, restricted to that use.
Okay, so will they still have their volunteer association meetings there in the hall?
Correct, yes. So in, where this, I don't know the history on this, but back in the 80s, early 80s, the Volunteer Fire Association actually owned the fire hall on South Pelham.
Right.
And when they built the new station, Station 1, they sold the property and they donated a sum of money to the town. And that's why this bylaw was developed, because there's an agreement that the association had desirous use for certain portions and they received the rent from that portion. So when the region or somebody rented the hall to do the association got that rent money.
Okay.
That will stop
Okay.
with the new hall.
Perfect, that's good. As long as they still have use for their volunteer meetings and for uses, just as you outlined. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. And on related, I see that there was a sign in your fire department that the turkey raffle this year would be at the MCC. And I said, oh, what the heck is that all about? And then I said, well, yeah, you're cleaning out the office, I take it, and that's why it's moving to the community center. Excellent. Look forward to another great evening and a great fundraiser down there. Thank you. Any other questions? Councilor Wink.
Yes, through you, Mayor, to the chief. What's been the reaction of the association with this repeal? I would think that they know about this is coming, but how they reacted to it.
To the chief.
Dear Mr. Mayor, there's just a small group of, including myself, that really even remember this. The majority of the people that belong to the association now have no idea how this even came about. They don't have that history there. I've notified the association president and the executive that we will be repealing this, and they still have their use and so forth. And there's been they actually haven't even questioned me about it. They just say, okay, so.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other questions related to this item? Not seeing any. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I will require a mover, seconder, and a vote, please.
The mover will be Councilor Nesnick. Seconder will be Councilor Kerr. One more time, any questions? Not seeing any. Call the vote. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our last item that was lifted is 9.3.1. And the associated, this has to do with appointments to the NPEI and PWPI Board of Directors. The associated recommendation reads that council received correspondence from Jason Trembella regarding these appointments for information, and that council directs staff to proceed with advertising for the positions, being one position on the NPEI Board of Directors and 2 positions for PWPI, and that council directs staff to return with applications for council's consideration. To you, Mr. Mayor, and Councilor Hildebrandt did lift this item.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Councilor, for pulling this item, and your comments, please.
Thank you so much. I lifted this item for 2 reasons. Number 1, I want to make an amendment to the motion, and number 2, I want to talk about both these boards. Both these boards are a transitory position right now. There's a lot of things that are changing, and the governance of these committees is essential for the operation. There's large expenses going on with Niagara Fusion Energy with regards to the transformer stations, one for the new fire hall, one for West Lincoln, which is serving Lincoln, and there's another one being proposed for Niagara Falls as well. They're well over $15 million expenditure. And not only that, the shareholders agreement was established in early 2000, and it is being under review. And all of these things are parts of what Councilor Kerr and I have been involved with. So I think it's essential that present members on the boards be allowed to declare their candidacy for these positions. And that's what I'd like to do, and I'm prepared to make a motion. But I'd like to have a discussion within the council just to ensure that that's the direction this council would prefer to go.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Kerr, you're the other member. Your comments, please.
Yeah, just a clarification so that everybody kind of understands. There's 2 separate entities. There's Penn West, which is one entity, which is a shareholder as it stands of Niagara Peninsula Energy. Penn West is made up of West Lincoln, Pelham, and there are representatives from each municipality on it. On the NPEI board, there is 2 members from Penn West, from one municipality of the group of 3. So in other words, for 3 years, Pelham has 2 representatives, Lincoln would have one, West Lincoln would have another. That rotates. So as of effective the end of this year, Pelham goes back to only having 1 representative on NPEI. The double placement, double position rotates to Lincoln, and West Lincoln will only have 1. 3 years further along the line, Lincoln will lose that one. West Lincoln will get the double position, Pelham will have 1, et cetera. So that it's a rolling situation that comes up. So that's kind of how this conundrum comes into play. The Penn West is static because Pelham, West Lincoln, and Lincoln are the owners or shareholders of Penn West, so they get to make their appointments and they stay contiguous at 2 per municipality. So I just wanted to have, if people were wondering about this confusion of 2 to 1, it's just because of this rotating thing for representation. It allowed the Penn West people to have equal representation on the NPEI board relative to Niagara Falls Holdco, which had representatives. There's 4 from each of those 2 entities of Penn West and Niagara Falls Holdco. Ironically, Penn West only has 25.5% of the shares, and Niagara Falls Holdco has 74.5, but they each only get 4 directors on their board. So it's kind of a, may sound a little odd, but that's what was negotiated years ago when the merger took place.
Okay, thank you. And as you just heard, Councilor Hildebrand has put himself up a candidacy for the same position. Are you? Now would be a time to declare your.
I'm not. I'll be honest. Knowing the rotation going through, I am not going to be a candidate for NPEI. However, I would look for a reappointment to the Penn West position.
I see.
Okay. So it's the lower level, yes. The next level up, no. I will withdraw my name as a representative for Pelham.
Okay. Thank you for that. To the clerk. Oh, well, first of all, I guess, any other comments on the appointments or any other counselor wishing at this time to announce a candidacy for this, Council Wink?
Yes, so am am I to understand that these positions are advertised to the residents of Pelham? And this report, as it sits, is just for information purposes, and then the next step would be staff goes out, advertises for other candidates.
I will turn to the CEO for further explanations.
These positions are not advertised as of yet. So this is the opportunity for council to direct a process. And I think if there is interest amongst members of council in sitting in these positions, now is the time, and it's entirely possible. In fact, I might suggest it would be routine business to appoint or reappoint, as the case may be, members of this body to these positions. If there wasn't interest, then we would proceed with advertising to the broader public tomorrow or the day after, but sometime later this week. So if there's interest amongst this body, then the matter can be addressed today. And if there is not, then we would take your direction and proceed to advertising. So there's no open competition, and there's no advertisement to speak of as we speak at this point in time.
So I understand that this is a 3-year position for MPEI?
My understanding, and I believe that of Madam Clerk, is that while as a default, these are 3-year positions, either body would accept a 1-year appointment if that were to be the will of council in the alternative. So you have choice. At the end of the day, both organizations are used to being governed by elected officials and in interacting with municipalities, and they will receive, I think, with gratitude, the decisions of this council.
So if I can just go ahead and then Council Wink.
So I would have interest in sitting on the MPEI board.
Okay, thank you. And if I can get back to the CEO comment, I can remember this council when we had, maybe it was the council before, Council Wink, you'll have to, we had, the terms overlapped. And the discussion was on council. I don't know if it was this council that brought the 1-year thing in to equalize so that we didn't have any carryover from one council to the next, so that the next council elected, whoever that may be, had the right to appoint their own appointees. And I thought that was a justified complaint. So myself, knowing how that was at that particular council, I honestly think that we should stay or go with 1 year so that these, and of course it's open to council, it's whatever council decides. But if we stayed with 1 year, then it continues on that the, that incoming council gets to select appointees of their own choice as opposed to having an overlap. But again, that is a decision of council. And Council Link, you had the floor, so I give it back to you.
Yeah, I can go either way on this because if we go 1 year, then the next term we're going to be looking at a 3-year position, and then we got to go through this all over again. So I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Okay. Councillor Kirk.
Just so people understand, the appointments are at the discretion of council. Niagara Falls Holdco just replaced last year 2 members. 2? Yeah, just 2. 2. Yeah, 2 of them were replaced. They had their in the middle of their terms. Mm-hmm. So a person was withdrawn, and a new person was appointed by council from Niagara Falls. Okay. So what happens is you're there always at the purvey of council. It's kind of been the feeling that going into an election year, you can have a 3-year appointment, but that doesn't mean you're guaranteed to be there for 3 years. At the end of a year, council can decide at that point, no, this is the person that's going to take up the remainder of that 3-year appointment. It's not a new 3-year appointment. It would be the remainder of what the appointment was. So there's 1 year in 2026, there'll be 27 and 28. So even if a person got appointed for 1 year, this 2026, council would appoint and want to appoint a new person, it would strictly be for 27 and 28, it's not a new 3-year term.
Yep.
It's a static 3-year window.
Right. So then the council, the next council
Yep.
has the right to
Recall.
repeal
Yep.
that individual.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Okay, now thank you for the clarification.
So then
Councilor.
we don't need to go to 1 year at this point.
No, I think that with that clarification, it satisfies my needs for sure. Any other comments from Councilor? Deputy Mayor, any comments? So, Councilor Hildebrand.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. In the previous term, we actually adopted that option, and we removed a counselor from Penn West Services.
Okay. Okay, I'd forgotten about that move. Okay, excellent, thank you. So then, Councilor Wink, you are putting your name forward?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we have two appointees or two candidates for the two openings. So if council,
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, there's
Oh.
only one opening
Oh.
for NPEI. We have 2 candidates currently.
oh, okay.
No.
No,
You don't want NPEI, do you? Sorry.
2 to my.
Okay, I'll jump in again through you, Mr. Mayor. Normally what has happened is that the people that have been on Penn West have gone from Penn West to NPEI. What's coming up is we have a Penn West reappointment, but we only have one of the Penn West appointments going to NPEI. Okay? So in other words, it's you get your Penn West people in, and from that, then you get your NPEI. Got it?
Yeah.
Or am I confusing? As long as people are,
There's 2 people appointed to Penn West.
correct,
This year, this 3-year term, we get 1
to
to
NPEI.
NPEI,
Correct.
not 2.
correct.
And currently, we have 2 members of council that have expressed their interest to sit on the PEI board, or NPEI board.
Yes.
So we'll have to choose between the 2 people that have expressed their interest. Is that correct?
From the discussion, that's what I'm understanding, yes. Councilor Kerr has expressed that he would like to be reappointed to the Penn West Board, not the NPEI Board, so there's 2 candidates for NPEI, being Councilors Hildebrand and Wink.
Correct.
And there's 2 positions for Penn West. So 3 positions.
Correct.
but only one for yours and 2 for Penn West.
One position for NPEI,
Yes,
Correct.
2 for Penn West.
okay.
I would prefer to sit on both, but if John wants to sit on Penn West,
Okay,
I'd
so-
sit on NPI, or
So-
however, John.
So, Council Wink?
Yeah, so isn't the seat of Penn West, isn't the person on MPEI representing Penn West and the town of Pelham? Is that what I understand? Yes, so then I would be willing to sit on both.
Okay, but then you will be in contrast with Councilor, you okay with that? Okay. So that then we would have to have a vote, yeah. To the CEO?
Again, there are multiple reasonable ways we can proceed with this information, but I think the cleanest, so this allow this meeting to serve as declaration of candidacy, and 2 weeks from today, we can discuss offline with Madam Clerk. Obviously, there'll be a vote process amongst the 7 of you, and we could, but you're quite capable of making a decision 2 weeks from today at the next meeting, and this would be a great time to essentially make a call for candidacy, and see if there are any others. And If not, then 2 weeks from today, we can do a process. I've got a couple ideas about how that can work, but possibly already have rules on that. But in either event, we can make that decision this month. And there's a request by the receiving organizations to have the decisions made by December the 3rd, which is eminently reasonable. We can get this done this month and proceed accordingly.
Okay, thank you, Mr. CEO. So again, I'll ask council, is there any other member of council that would like to put their name forward for either position? Oh, Councilor Kerr.
Yeah, I would be willing to continue at the Penn West level.
Yes. Okay, thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, does that wrap up this meeting?
Yes, perhaps I can get, unless council would like to make an appointment today, perhaps I can get an amendment for staff to return to the next council meeting with a vote process for the appointments.
I believe we're going to, as the CEO suggested, decide that in 2 weeks at a vote.
Yes, if that's the will of council, I'd be looking for an amendment to bring that forward.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Eckert.
I'll move that amendment.
Okay, thank you. And a seconder?
Seconder, Councilor Hildebrand.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the amendment reads that staff be directed to return to the November 5th meeting, I believe, with a proposed voting process for the appointment to both entities. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any further discussion on the amendment? Not seeing any, I'll call the vote, although, I'm sorry, Councilor Nesnick.
I do have a question.
Well, go ahead.
Sorry, just a question to the clerk. So as it's written here, the description we've got right now, what about the second, like, do we have to remove that advertising for open positions? Or?
Correct, yeah, so that would be stricken and then just replaced with that staff be directed to return. Sorry,
Okay.
to clarify, yes.
Yeah, so I
That
just
would
wanna
be
make sure
replacing that
will be-
clause, correct.
So that will be struck from the new
Correct, yes.
amendment as written? So could you just read what the new amended?
Yes, that council received correspondence from Jason Trimbella regarding the appointments to the NPI and PWPI for information, and that staff be directed to return to the November 5th meeting with the proposed voting process for the appointment to both entities.
Thank you for helping us clear that up, Councilor Nesnick. Any other questions or comments? Not seeing any, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the motion as amended, and I'd be looking for a mover and a seconder, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so now on the motion as amended, I need a presenter and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Eckert and Councilor. No, I was going to the new Benarski. I'm sorry. You're not even a new guy anymore. My apologies. Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the motion as amended? Not seeing any. Call the vote. All those in favor? And although none opposed, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to item 11.2, staff reports requiring action. And our first item is 11.2.1, 2025 PW 22 Bocce Ball Courts update. And I have a motion presented by Councilor Kerr, seconded by Councilor Hildebrand. Be it resolved that council receive memo 2025-0224 for information, and that council approve the additional $8,300 from the Parks Reserve. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on this report? Not seeing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? See none opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next item is 11.2.2, Future of Quaker Meeting House Review and Building Update. And I have a motion put forth by Councilor Wink, seconded by Councilor Brunarski. Be it resolved that council receive report 2025-0216 for information, and that council directs staff to proceed with option blank for the Quaker Meeting House. To you, Mr. Mayor, and there are 4 options contained within the report.
Okay, thank you. Any councilor want to open this debate? We know, of course, the famous Quaker House, the Quaker Meeting House, and the 4 options. Any opening remarks? I think the report fairly clear. I guess I don't have an option right now. I'll let council direct it. Mostly it is just a case of Mr. CAO of giving staff the opportunity to proceed with finding funding for this. Is that correct?
It's not incorrect. There's more to it than I think. I think on all these staff reports, we should hear from the staff. I think there's some nuance to each of them, and I think Ms. Quinlan Murphy is certainly very well positioned to speak to this one.
Okay.
If we could.
To the Director of Finance, Ms. Quinlan Murphy.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So we currently have a grant that we applied for. So the grant will cover 35% of the costs. The total amount of the grant is up to $250,000. We've applied for about $230,000 out of the total cost of $654,000. This grant is for Old Pelham Town Hall and also for the Quaker House. The Quaker House portion is about $337,000. So right now, it would be nice to see what the outcome of the grant first before a decision is made. So that's what I would suggest, that it might be helpful to wait to hear about this grant, which we will hear about it, I think, in the early part of 2026.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sorry. It's worth mentioning we have a letter of support from MPP Oosterhoff in that application, and we think it's a very technically strong application, but it's complicated because we're actually splitting it amongst two properties, and the concept of the grant is, so we're really talking about culture in rural Ontario with it. But we've had to be creative, and our MPP supports it, so we're highly optimistic, but we do want to wait to see the degree of success, if any, before proceeding with work, of course.
Excellent. Thank you. Back to the finance.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, just to add to that. So the objective of this grant, it's called the Community Infrastructure Enhancement Grant, and this stream funds projects that update or transform community assets that have been identified as important to the community's economy. So it's like one of those economic grants.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you for that. Questions and comments? Councilor Wink.
So, from what I'm hearing, you're suggesting that we defer this. Can we approve it and red circle it, subject to the grants coming in?
Mr. CAO?
Yes, absolutely, you can do that.
I would suggest that we do that. And my choice would be number 3. The railroad people have occupied this since 1972. Part of the lease was that they were going to keep up the property. And in all honesty, the property has not been kept up. It's embarrassing to say, here we've got a heritage site and there's, how do I word it? There's less paint on there than there is paint on the building. It hasn't been maintained. I think if you look at the use of this building, there's a lot of history in that building that people don't know about. And there's a lot of history in Fenwick, and there's a lot of history in Font Hill that if we open it up as a museum and a meeting place, we would get a lot more local use out of it. There's 22 members on this railroad group. I just wonder how many of those members are actually residents of Pelham. So the usage, I would like to see, well, 2 things on that one. Like, we're subsidizing this property for the sake of 22 people, and that's not a great use of our tax dollars. And, do we really have individuals in this group that are actually living in the town? It's a town asset. It should be used for the town. And I would like to see it go to a museum. And even if the museum is the operating hours is on a volunteer basis or whatever, we don't have to spend a lot of money for employees or whatever. Addition to that, like, this is a town property. It is supposed to be available for, or part of the Accessibility Act. And I don't see anywhere in here that it's trying to be made into an acceptable, accessible building. So we're offside on this building. So I think there's a lot of work to be done on this, and I would suggest that we take ownership, like occupy this building. It's our property, and we've got every right to do so. So I would go with option 3.
Okay, thank you for that, Councilor Wink. Any other questions or comments or any further options before I call the vote on 3? Deputy Mayor Eckert.
Yes, when you look at the 4 options provided, 3 of the 4 call for the GNMRE to relocate. Only number 1, option 1, has them continuing on in the building. And the difficulty that I have is, and whatever the reason is, maybe lack of funds, lack of manpower, whatever it is, as it was stated earlier, the building needs substantial investment by the town to bring it up to standards, and they have not been able to, for whatever reason, maintain that. So I think if you went with option 1 of leaving them there, there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to do their part, as willing as they may want to be. And it's going to take substantial investment by us, whether through grants or some tax dollars. So I agree that if that's going to happen, which it has to happen in order for this building to stay open, then we should take ownership, or at least control an ownership of that building. So I would be in support of option 3 as well.
Okay.
And also the idea of approving and red circling until we get these substantial grants in.
Excellent. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Eckert. Any other comments? I'll go to Councilor Kerr.
I think the report is kind of self-evident, identifying the things. Option 1 fiscally probably does not seem to fit for either the town or the organization itself. Option 2, I think, is inappropriate, that basically we tell them, get out and we'll go find some other group to take it. I'm not a fan of acting on that fashion anyway. Option 3, I think, is assisting this group to find an alternative location is appropriate. They have multiple open houses over the year, but as identified, there's a lot of capital investment by the town that has to go into something that has a very restricted use and access over the entire year. It's the members that are in it predominantly, and then they invite people in to walk through on periodic occasion, whereas an opportunity might be to utilize this. There has been calls within the town for some type of historical site, alternative meeting space, et cetera, places of things like that. The village of Fenwick is growing. There may be groups that wish to utilize this space as well, plus you get the educational factor of having a display at the same time. So I'm supportive, as Deputy Mayor and Councillor Wink have indicated. Red circle it, go forward, but I think the time has come that we have to take a historical asset and save it. And one way or the other, we have to go forward with this. And as a result of that type of expenditure, that we maybe get a little better utilization for the entire Pelham community.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Kerr. I believe Councilor Nesnick is next.
Yes, thank you very much. Just a question to, I guess, maybe our Public Works with regards to the review of the items identified in the 2020 building condition assessment. So several of those recommended replacement dates were, 3, 4, 5 years ago. Had any of those been, have any corrections on the building already been completed to date? There's the lighting, windows, floors, water tank, sump pump,
To
wood
Mr.
siding.
Clerk, to your knowledge, have we been slowly catching up on that list, or have we been waiting?
Through the mayor, a number of the items that were identified were smaller works to be done through operating. So we're identified through the building condition assessment, but there is like a hot water tank or a sump pump, you don't replace until it fails, generally speaking. So, and those are low value dollars, like low value items that would normally just be paid out of operating. The larger work, the siding and the windows and doors was not done. Thought of doing those projects as individual projects didn't seem to make sense. Far better to group them up into one thing and have everything taken care of at the same time.
Okay, good. So I do see that hopefully it's forecast for the 2026 building, should we receive the grant to replace windows, repair siding, or replace siding, and replace doors, wood landings, and stairs. That would make a huge improvement on that building. So I think at this point, as long as we can support the current leaseholders in finding another location, and I don't think it has to be done overnight. I think we'll have probably a year or 6 months, good 6 months, because they've been really good tenants, and they have been there, and they do the open houses, and they do have a niche purpose for their group. So it would be nice, but I do think it is time that maybe that would be an excellent location for a community museum, just as outlined by my fellow councilors. So I can support option 3 as well.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? Councillor Benarski, the new guy.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I do agree with all the comments that my fellow councillors have said, and just kind of following up on Councillor Niznik's comment about finding a new space for this group. What does that look like? Do we have space available? How long is that going to take? And then here are a lot of questions in this one point, but in appendix, I also see that there's decades worth of equipment and effort that would need to be moved out or disturbed to find an alternate location. So realistically, how long is that going to take? And is that just going to delay us further in finding them a new location? Is it going to be drawn out, or how long could this possibly happen?
And for lack of not knowing what staff member to go to, I'll rely on my CAO.
Well, you have one volunteering here, so
Gee, they have a plan.
Yes, I certainly want to allow the rec team to provide some answer there, but I can tell you what we wanted was to get a general sense of where council stood, obviously. You seem to be heading towards a vote in a defined area, and I can say that anytime you're going to change a relationship with a long-term tenant, I think as a public sector body, we have multiple tools we can use to assist the tenant in its future endeavors, and that can range from staff capacity to assist with moving to consideration of a community grant application for some transition costs that we may be indirectly incurring upon the other party, etc. So I'd be very happy to hear from our manager of recreation and or the director, should she also wish to chime in. But we'll probably come back with a report, and or we may be talking about sufficiently modest tasks that we'll just handle those administratively. But we're certainly in keeping with the fact that this is a not-for-profit third-party organization that's been a long-term tenant and have done a lot of good for the community, and we would want to be helpful in seeing them succeed in whatever the next iteration happens to be.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Let's go to the manager of recreation.
Thank you. To you, Mr. Mayor. We've been working hard recently with the Great Niagara Model Railway engineers to have this conversation, so it's not a surprise to them. Not what's gonna happen, but the thought of potentially moving them, and they were actually very receptive, which was very refreshing to hear. And we did say that we would support them through that process. So I think that's the start, is that they are willing and ready. We have had some internal conversations of potential locations, but that will definitely take some time. And similar to what Mr. Cribb said was, I think we're gonna have to kind of come back, think about it, discuss it with the tenants, and then go from there. So thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Anything that the director wishes to add?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I just want to thank council for this long time considering the future of the Quaker House. I mean, I've been here for years, and it's always been there and operating very quietly, but we need to know what council's desire is for the future, and then we can go from there. And it's so wonderful that the planning department has designated it as a heritage site, and we finally have one of our buildings as a heritage site, and we can move on from there. So, and with regard to the grant, we continue our work, and we always red circle, throughout all of the capital projects as grants come available. We red circle the grants or the actual project. I just really appreciate that you're giving us an option and not deferring the report, because now we can, now we know where we'll go next once we hear from the grant. But without the two, it's really difficult, and again, it'll be sitting on the shelf if not. And I just want to thank council for the consideration.
Thank you. And Councilor Bernarski, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize again that my question was not succinct at all. It was just a garbled mess there. But again, I would be happy to support and put forward option 3. Just that my concern would be finding a location, or a new location. We just don't take them from one spot, now moving them to a different spot that we could be in the same situation in a few years from now, and just moving that mountain of equipment that they have in there. But thank you for that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. If I can, before you go, Deputy Mayor, a question to planning. Because this is a heritage building, it's not just a case of taking a hammer and saw to it. The repairs should be conducted in accordance with the time of its building. Am I correct on that, or what's the standing on that?
Through the mayor, you're correct.
Excellent. So again, that's probably going to add an additional cost when it comes to repairing windows and window sills and what have you. But to the manager.
Yes, to you, Mayor. We actually, when I was writing this report, reached out to multiple historical restoration companies. So the numbers here in the report are accurate to actual people who are specialized in historical restoration and rehabilitation for costing. And it is more, of course, due to the nature of the work that needs to be completed.
Excellent. As usual, staff is 5 steps ahead of me. Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Eckert.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a final point I wanted to make here. Council appears that we're going to be voting on this and going with option 3, that the project is red circled depending on grant money. But I think the relocation should be going forward and not sitting and waiting till we don't hear, oh, we got the grant, we don't have the grant. I think it's inevitable they're going to be moving. And if they're acceptable to that, then let's forge ahead, find them a place, and let's assist them in moving so that they're actually out of the building when the grant comes through, and then the reconstruction can happen without them being there or waiting for them to have to move. That's my last point.
Thank you, Councilor Eckert. And Councilor Hildebrand, I'm sorry I jumped one line on you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. I'm in agreement with the rest of my councilors, but I would like to make these comments for myself. The building architectural structure itself does not look like a heritage building. So it's based, I'm sure, on historical significance. When you look at Niagara-on-the-Lake and how Niagara-on-the-Lake handles some of these things, like they have a building called the Slave House. And the Slave House isn't necessarily upgraded to be a safe house, but it has a plaque, and they have tours, and it's toured as a heritage building, and it has a reason for why it's toured. Marshville and Waynfleet does a similar thing. They have a lot of heritage buildings. They have a Marshville committee, and those are very talented people, and a lot of them don't even live in Waynfleet that restore the buildings, and their buildings are the same. They're toured, not totally, but they're toured by tour guides, and they have specific insurance for that festival, for that event. So these buildings are not brought up to today's standards, but they're brought up to a standard that allows a tour to happen with insurance and that kind of thing. And I'm just wondering whether that's where we are with this heritage house that we have. What I see here is the long-term viability of the model railway club, in my view, is questionable. They got maybe 22 members. It doesn't say they have 22 members. They have up to 22 members. So they have something there. And I assume, I've only been through the tour once, and they were not young people. Having to walk through that building, I can't even believe that's safe. So anyway, it's not sustainable. And the fact is, a $300,000 expenditure is not in the budget as far as the residents is concerned, in my view, unless we're very successful on grants, and that changes the position. That being said, I'm also supportive of option 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any more comments or questions? Just for the record, I'm also fully supportive of option 3. I think it's time, as Councillor Wink has, and the other councillors have stated, that we it's time this building and the use of this building has moved on, and especially now that either way, we're going to be putting substantial resources into this building. I think it's just appropriate that more people get to enjoy this building. So anyway, any further comments? Not seeing any, I'll call a vote. All those in favor of option 3 is what we're voting on. And Councillor Kerr?
Option 3 with the red circle.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. Option 3 with the red circle on the results of the grant application. Again, I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually need a mover and a seconder as
Oh,
well,
I'm sorry.
please.
I jumped again. Deputy Mayor Eckert and Councilor Bernarski, you will second? Okay, thank you. For the third time. All those in favor? Excellent, thank you. I see none opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you. That brings you to the main motion as amended, Mr. Mayor. If you'd like to use the same mover and seconder, we can, pending their agreement. It's perfect.
And they're agreeable to that. On the motion amended, all those in favor? I see, and Councilor Hildebrand? Oh, you're in? Okay, thank you. Okay, unanimous, none opposed, motion carries.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, that brings you to your next staff report requiring action, which is 11.2.3 ICIP Community Cultural Recreation Stream Rehabilitation Intake Grant. And I have a motion put forth by Deputy Mayor Eckert, seconded by Councillor Niznik. Be it resolved that Council receive Report 2025-0219 for information, and that Council directs staff to apply for the project revision request to maximize the ICIP cultural grant in the amount of $1,052,890, which will fund the $1,447,965 worth of capital projects, and that Council approve $395,075 to be funded from the Parks Reserve. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. First of all, I'll go to Director of Finance. Any comments, please?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, after council approved the pool option at the last council meeting that we were going to use approximately 917,000 of the grant to renovate the pool. We had over $1 million, just a little bit over $1 million left over, and one, it doesn't look good to the funder that we give money back. Two, there are legitimate needs in the park. The actual name of this project is the rehabilitation of the Marlene Stewart Street Park. So all of the expenses that are listed here actually supports the goal of this grant. So I think that we can go back to the funder and update them on the change of the pool as opposed to replacing the pool. We're going to renovate the pool because the cost has increased significantly. And then with the with the funds that are left over, that we're going to do these new items here. So this is the list that we have. So before we go back, we just need council's approval for us to reapply, to update the grant application.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wink, comments?
Yes, through you to all staff. Like, I just have to commend staff for putting their thinking caps on and looking for alternatives on how to utilize this grant. I had concern when we approved it that we sent considerable grant money back once. We don't want to be known as that community that gets grants and doesn't follow through on their opportunities, and just to go back and put your collective minds together on this. I think it's a good testament to the great staff that we have here, and thank you for bringing back these alternatives that we can still enhance the park itself, but just in different ways. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Councillor. Any, Councillor Nesnick?
Yes, thank you very much for the outline and, your explanation there. Ms. Quinlan really helped me with greater understanding. So I'm happy to see that all of these improvements would be down at the Marlene Stewart Street Park. So just a couple questions, if somebody could give me a little bit further detail on how to expand. I know part of the grant was with regards to making it more accessible for our community members who have accessibility needs, and I think that needs to be a priority on these renovations. So just wondering if anyone can highlight, I know you've got trail improvements and accessibilities, but is the playground retrofit going to be moving towards accessibility for children who have accessible needs? The pedestrian walkway, will that be considered or have an accessible factor in it with railings and slope considerations and ease of transport, that sort of thing, as well as the parking lot lighting? Well, that's lighting, so that's here nor there. So just wondering if anyone has any further details on some of those foci.
I see the Director of Rec, Ms. Van Avensway.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. As we go down the list, obviously the lighting would improve accessibility. So we have the parking lot lighting, the pool lighting. The pool lighting would also expand the use of the pool. The playground retrofit. The actual playground itself is accessible now, although by improving the pedestrian walkways and the viewing area, we will also improve the slopes and the ramps and so forth, so that someone could get out of their vehicle and be fully accessible to get to the pool area. The pool itself will continue to have a lift chair for accessibility. It will not have the accessible lane to get in because we're replacing the existing bowl. Or we're not replacing, we will be providing a liner. Yeah, and the trails, obviously the pedestrian walkway, we would love to have something at the top of the hill, but it will never be accessible to the point that someone could, it's quite the slope. But we would really like to see a safe pedestrian walkway from the top of the, Highway 20 down to the actual park.
Councillor?
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. And then, as I said, will we receive eventually some of the details of what exactly the pool renovation is going to entail?
To the manager?
There we go. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we can definitely provide you with the details of the renovation. I think we were waiting for this council meeting to move forward. I think basically now we get the go-ahead and we can jump on the project and hopefully to get it started sooner rather than later so that we can provide you with some more details. Thank you.
To the director?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, we won't be jumping on it quite yet. The first jump is we need provincial and federal approval to use the funds in the way we want to use them instead of replacing the pool.
Yeah.
So until we receive that, we'll have everything, ready to go, although until we get the approval, we won't be doing anything.
Okay, thank you. And I'll go back to the Director of Finance. Any timeline that you would like to take a guess on?
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, we have met with the funder twice already. They are aware of the situation. The first time we met, we were talking about, relocating to the MCC, and so they were waiting for that. And then we updated them, letting them know that we had to wait for this council meeting for council to approve the new allocation of projects. So as soon as this meeting's over, by the end of Friday, we are definitely going to have between Vicky, myself, Christina, and Leah, the project revision request submitted, and they're waiting for it.
Beauty. Thank you for that. And we are obviously waiting anxiously along with staff. Thank you. Councillor Nisnik? Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Kirk?
Yes, I just found it intriguing that we have a pool allocation of 1.25 million, but then we split out pool lighting and pool viewing. I would have thought being the kind of person I am, I would have buried that all inside the word pool. And suddenly taken it from 1.25, it would have been up to 1.65 million for the pool, which would have fit back with the pool original. But yeah, you know what I mean? It's a way of making it sound what we're trying to do. That's all. I think it's great that you're doing this, and as they say, let's get through this and get them started and get the lenders or the funders informed, and hopefully they'll get back to us as fast as they can.
Yep, exactly. Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments, questions on this agenda item? Not seeing any. To the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just looking for a vote.
Okay, so we've already got the move in second.
Correct.
Thank you. Without seeing any further comments, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And I see now all those against. One opposed. Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Motion wins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And the final item for action today is 11.2.4, Development Charges Update. And I have a motion put forth by Councillor Wink, seconded by Councillor Hildebrand. Be it resolved that Council receive Report 2025-0217 for information, and that Council approve the 1.6 million in development charge eligible projects to be funded from the water wastewater reserves for 2026 with interest, and that a repayment plan be established to reimburse the water wastewater reserves from the development charges obligatory reserve when funds become available. The interest rate shall be based on the current method of allocating interest to the water wastewater reserves, being the average actual interest rate earned in the year. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And before I open to council, I will go to the Director of Finance, Ms. Murphy Quinlan.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So what we have here is an update on the development charges obligatory reserve. And because we were very fortunate to receive the $16.9 million grant, Some of the projects that we had in the 10-year plan obviously had to be shifted. The timelines had to be moved in order to accommodate the grants timelines. So with that, there are projects in here that are funded from the DC reserve. The problem that we're facing right now is that the DC revenue is not coming in at the same rate as it has been in the past few years. We were averaging over $4 million in the past few years of development charge revenue in year. Now we're at about $1 million right now. We need $1.2 million a year in order just to fund the MCC debt that we have, the portion of the debt that's funded by the DC revenue. So looking at that and looking at the 10-year plan, myself and the deputy, our concern is that the development, the DC obligatory reserve would automatically go into a very large deficit. One of the things that we are allowed to do is that we're allowed to borrow from the water wastewater reserve. We're looking at about $1.6 million to help fund the $16.9 million, our portion of the $16.9 million projects that we have. The way it works is that you can't borrow from the DC obligatory reserve, but the DC obligatory reserve can borrow from other reserves. So this has been verified and confirmed with Watson. And so what we want to do, and other municipalities do this as well, so we want to get permission from council to borrow $1.6 million from the water wastewater reserve, and then set up a payment plan to pay back the water wastewater reserve once the funds come in from the DC. I just want to show there's 3 appendices here just to help explain what they are. Appendix 1 is the current state. So this actually shows if we fund all the projects in the 10-year plan that just by 2026, the obligatory reserve, the DC obligatory reserve would be at a $1.9 million deficit, and by 2035, it'd be at a $14 million deficit. If we go to Appendix 2, this Appendix 2, we actually have reduced the amount from the DC obligatory reserve by $1.6 million because it's being funded by the water wastewater reserve. Then the deficit at the end of 2026 is $267,000. And this is assuming that we're going to be receiving about $1 million in DC revenue in the next few years. So that's the assumption there. And then this also shows in Appendix 2, it shows all the projects that are currently in the 10-year plan, and if they're also to be funded, it would be a $12 million deficit in 2035. And in Appendix 3, what Appendix 3 does is that it shows in 2026 that reducing it by $1.6 million because it's being funded from the water wastewater reserve, and that there wouldn't be any other projects from 27 to 2035 funded from this reserve. And only in that case would we actually have a positive balance. So this is just to show you as a scenario. Council is not approving that. All we're asking for council right now is to approve in the 2026 budget, as we're preparing the capital plan, that we can borrow $1.6 million from the water wastewater reserve and not take it out of the DC obligatory reserve, which is where it is right now from the background study. That's where it's sitting right now. So if we don't get that permission, then we need to fund it from the DC reserve. So this is just a timing issue.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any member of council, any comments or questions, either to the treasurer or to CAO? Not seeing any. Okay, and then again, thank you for that clarification. Then I will call the vote. All those in favor? I see none opposed. Motion carries. Again, thanks staff for coming up with this plan. And again, thanks Sam for the 16.9 problem. Thank you. To the clerk.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That brings you to item 14, and I have a motion put forth by Councillor Bernarski, seconded by Councillor Kerr. Be it resolved that Council for the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration to the following, read a first, second, and third time and do pass same, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the bylaws as follows. 50/2025 being a bylaw to designate the Font Hill Cemetery Mausoleum located at 25 Highland Avenue as being of cultural heritage value or interest, and 51/2025 being a bylaw to repeal 807/1982 for the Corporation of the Town of Pelham. Mr. Mayor, that was the bylaw related to the memo on today's agenda.
Okay, thank you. Councilors, any questions, comments on either one of these items? Not seeing any. I'll just call the vote. All those in favor? See none opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you. That brings you to item 18. I have a motion put forward by Councillor Niznik, seconded by Councillor Hildebrand. Be it resolved that the following bylaw now be read a first, second, and third time. 52/2025 to adopt, ratify, and confirm the proceedings of Council of the Town of Pelham at its regular meeting held on the 15th day of October 2025. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Not seeing any. Call the question. All those in favor? See none opposed. Motion carries.
Excellent. That brings you to adjournment. I have a motion put forward by Deputy Mayor Eckert, seconded by Councillor Kerr. Be it resolved that this regular meeting of council be adjourned until the next regular meeting scheduled for November 5th, 2025 at 9 a.m. To you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Call the vote. All those in favor? See none opposed. Motion carries. Meeting is over. Thank you, David.